Guten Morgen, and welcome to the Late to Work podcast. I'm your host, Parker. Thanks for joining today. Guten Morgen is Dutch for good morning. How are you doing? How's your morning going? I'm running on time to work today. How's your commute going? Do you feel good? Do you feel alive? Did you get your coffee? If you didn't get your coffee, then think about submitting to this podcast. Record some thoughts you have on life about your commute to work, or some philosophical thought, or something funny you have to share with Late to Work Podcast. And the second you submit that to latetoworkpodcast@gmail.com, then you get entered into a monthly raffle for a Starbucks gift card. So if you don't have coffee this morning, then you could have coffee from me in a little bit. So stay tuned. So submit your thoughts to this podcast. Tell some cool stories. We want to hear it. Everyone wants to hear it. Today, the weather is beautiful in Michigan. Let's talk about traveling. I love to travel, and I'd always wanted to travel when I was younger in high school, but I thought, I don't really have the money, I don't have the opportunity, things aren't coming up. But I just figured out ways to find cheaper flights and found connections, found people to travel with, found some really great friends, and we've gone to Thailand, we've gone to Iceland, we've gone to Shanghai, we've gone to Amsterdam. It's like you learn so much from traveling. Every time you learn more from that than you will from almost any other social occurrence. You just learn about the world, learn about other cultures. Maybe I should do a separate podcast on how I learned to travel for cheap, because I know a lot of people want to travel, and I tell them, oh, I love traveling too. Like, I travel, and they're like, well, I don't have the money. It's like, Jesus, you don't need a ton of money. Like, you go to some concert like Electric Forest, and with that same money, dude, you could go to Europe, you could go so many places. But today we've got a story from an awesome dude named Sean. Sean travels a lot as well. Sean has some really great stories, and he has one to share with us today. So Sean, take it away.
Hey Parker, thanks so much for having me on the show. So has anyone heard of a bear box before? If you haven't, it's not exactly a box with a bear in it. It's a giant safe-like box where you have to put all of your food and even items like toothpaste and perfume while you're camping in bear country. My girlfriend and I were camping in Yosemite, and we'd never used one of these bear boxes before. So as we settled into our sleeping bags for the night, my girlfriend realized that there was a stick of deodorant buried in her backpack. And we sort of debated getting up and putting it in the bear box, but neither of us really wanted to get up, so eventually we just sort of fell asleep. And the next thing I knew, she was shaking me awake in the middle of the night, saying, listen, listen. And I kept hearing some big growls and just kind of big, scary stuff like that. Almost like cinematic. You wouldn't even imagine how close it was to a fake bear growl. And you could hear these footsteps pitter-pattering just along the way, closer and closer to our tent. And we could hear it just sniffing right by our faces. So much so that we got so scared that we wanted to just throw the deodorant out of the tent. My girlfriend kept thinking of all these crazy situations to get out of, and I just thought we should stay quiet and sit there, so that's what we ended up doing. Now it seems so silly that we were freaking out so much about a stick of deodorant, but who knows, maybe another bear who hadn't showered in a couple of days would have totally raided our tent for it. So next time you camp in bear country, definitely make sure to secure all your food and scented items in a bear box, or a car, or somewhere else safe, really. Thanks for having me on the show. I have plenty more stories if you need them.
Thank you, Sean, for submitting. You're an awesome storyteller, so keep it up, and I hope you submit in the future. One more thing I wanted to talk about before we close is doctor's appointments. I don't really like doctor's appointments. I had knee surgery a few years ago, and I don't know. Some things happen, you just end up spending a lot of time in the doctor's office. But one funny question that they've asked me in the past, they'll ask a lot of normal questions, like, what kind of pain do you feel? Where do you feel pain? Rate the pain in your body. There's normal questions that a doctor might ask. But then they'll ask, have you experienced any memory loss? And I don't see how that's a fair question at all. Because the first thing that comes to your mind is, I don't know. You have to think back, and you think about things that you may have forgotten. and you won't remember them if you forgot them. So the answer is probably always no, I haven't. It's just kind of a funny thing, funny question at least. Every time they ask me, I'm just like, I don't know. And the fact that you're stuttering is like, probably have. You've probably experienced some major memory loss, but you don't remember, so you're going to say no and just float along in life like nothing's happened. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great weekend. I will catch you next Tuesday, and I hope you have a good, safe drive to work. I'll talk to you later. I'm Parker. Thanks for tuning in to Late to Work Podcast.